Okay, so let's get right into this. We're breaking down one of the most well-documented standoffs of the ancient world. It's 701 BCE, and we have the Neo-Assyrian Empire, which is this massive, deeply established superpower of the Middle East, rolling right up to the doorstep of the Kingdom of Judah. It's King Sennacherib of Assyria versus King Hezekiah of Judah. We've actually got the Assyrian royal records, the Hebrew Bible, and literal dirt and stone archaeology all converging on this exact moment in time. To understand how we even got to this showdown, we just need to look at the timeline. Back in 705 BCE, the Assyrian king Sargon II died in battle. And you know, when an ancient king died, things usually got pretty messy, and vassal states would see a window to break free. So King Hezekiah of Judah seizes that exact moment to stop paying his tribute and form an anti-Assyrian coalition. But if we fast forward just a few years to 701 BCE, Sargon's successor Sennacherib has completely stabilized his empire and is now marching his army down the Levantine coast to crush this rebellion. Hezekiah's defensive logistics. Hezekiah knew exactly what was coming. He didn't just cross his fingers and hope the Assyrians would forget about him. The sheer scale of Judah's preparation was massive, and archaeology backs this checklist up perfectly. Excavations in Jerusalem's Jewish quarter uncovered a huge section of what's called the Broad Wall. It's a defensive barrier a full 7 meters wide, built super rapidly to protect a sudden influx of refugees. Across the country, archaeologists have also found hundreds of royal storage jars stamped with LMLK, which basically means belonging to the king. This was a highly centralized, kingdom-wide rationing system to prep for a long siege. On top of that, Hezekiah blocked up the springs outside Jerusalem so the invading Assyrians wouldn't have any access to fresh water. But his absolute biggest engineering flex was the Siloam Tunnel. This is an aqueduct stretching 533 meters, and it was carved completely through solid bedrock beneath the city of David. The elevation drop from the Gihon Spring outside the city walls down to the Pool of Siloam inside the city is only about 30 centimeters over that entire half-kilometer distance. It perfectly redirected the city's water supply to safety, right under the noses of the Assyrian army. The crazy part is how they actually pulled this off without any modern surveying gear. We know from the Siloam Inscription, which is this Paleo-Hebrew text found carved right into the tunnel wall, that two teams of diggers started at completely opposite ends. They essentially hacked blindly through the rock. But modern geological acoustic tests show that the sound of pickaxes hitting that specific type of bedrock can travel up to 15 meters. So the teams practically played a subterranean game of Marco Polo, adjusting their curved route just by listening to each other until they perfectly connected right in the middle. Now, if you're wondering how we know for sure Hezekiah built it for this specific invasion, microarchaeologists actually radiocarbon dated tiny, short-lived plant fragments, things like twigs and straw, that were mixed into the tunnel's original hydraulic plaster. Because it's short-lived plant matter, it gives us a highly accurate time frame. It lands squarely between 800 and 700 BCE, which perfectly matches Hezekiah's reign and the timeline of the impending siege. So all that prep was definitely necessary because Sennacherib finally arrived, systematically destroying 46 fortified Judean cities to isolate the capital. The most brutal stop on that campaign was Lachish, which was Judah's second most important city. The Assyrians didn't mess around here. They built a siege ramp out of an estimated 13,000 to 19,000 tons of field stones right up against the city walls. We actually have this documented twice, physically, right in the dirt at Tel Lachish where the ramp still sits today, and visually on the massive stone wall reliefs Sennacherib had carved for his palace back in Nineveh. It was a massive display of brute force, meant to send a very clear, very intimidating message to Jerusalem. After Lachish fell, the Assyrian army blockaded Jerusalem, and this is where the historical records get really interesting. When we put the ancient texts side by side, a pretty clear picture builds. On the Assyrian state record, known as Sennacherib's Prism, and in the Hebrew Bible, both independent sources agree that Hezekiah was forced to pay a massive ransom. Notice how they match perfectly on the 30 talents of gold. There's a discrepancy on the silver, 800 versus 300 talents, but historians largely chalk that up to different regional talent weight standards, or maybe the Assyrians padding their accounting with the value of the stripped temple doors and the elite hostages they took. But here is the crucial point. Despite the massive tribute and this massive army waiting outside, there is zero Assyrian destruction layer in Jerusalem from 701 BCE. No ashes, no 19,000-ton siege ramps, nothing. The city simply survived intact. And for the Assyrian war machine, failing to capture a rebellious capital was extremely rare and highly embarrassing. Which brings us to one of the most famous quotes in ancient history. On his clay prism, Sennacherib boasts about Hezekiah, saying, "Himself, like a caged bird, I shut up in Jerusalem, his royal city." Now, on the surface, that sounds incredibly dominant, right? It sounds like total victory. But when you dig into Assyrian philology, it's actually pure PR spin. The caged bird phrase is a known rhetorical idiom. See, Assyrian scribes weren't actually allowed to record outright defeats. Decades earlier, King Tiglath-Pileser III used the exact same caged bird excuse when he failed to breach the walls of Damascus. It's basically ancient political code for, we couldn't get inside, we couldn't catch the king, but we definitely made him stay in his room. If the Assyrians had Jerusalem surrounded and completely cut off from help, why didn't they just finish the job? Well, just a quick bit of historical housekeeping first. The Bible mentions that word reached the Assyrians that Taharka, the king of Cush, was marching an army to fight them. It's a great detail, but Egyptian records prove Taharka wasn't actually king until 690 BCE, which is 11 years later. What likely happened is he was a young prince or general leading troops in 701 BCE, and later scribes writing the biblical text just naturally used his future royal title to help readers identify him. But even with Taharka's army in the mix, the Assyrians had already neutralized that threat at the nearby Battle of LMLK. So why did they actually pack up and go home? We have three totally different explanations. The Hebrew Bible states an angel of the Lord struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in their camp overnight. The Assyrian annals completely ignore any retreat, basically just saying, hey, we got our tribute, so we went back to Nineveh. Since we obviously can't test theological claims with a shovel, modern secular historians offer naturalistic theories. They suggest a devastating camp epidemic like cholera tore through the tight quarters of the besieging army. Or Sennacherib severely overextended his logistics. Or massive political unrest flared up back in Babylon, forcing the king to rush home to protect his own throne. The truth is, we just don't have the physical evidence to definitively prove which of those triggers ended the standoff. We know the wall was built, we know the tunnel was dug, we know the tribute was paid, and we absolutely know Jerusalem didn't fall. But when you strip away the Judahite theology and the Assyrian propaganda, what really forced the most powerful army on earth to just pack up and walk away?
What the fact? Follow for more.